ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for the Midday Market Report with good friend and colleague, Mr. Scottie Webb. Beam him up, Scottie, live from Tampa for our Friday afternoon MLB Bright Lights and Market Report. One game going on as we speak. His Tampa Bay Rays lead 1-0 top of the third. And in college baseball action, a whooping right now as the UNC North Carolina Tar Heels 10-2 in the bottom of the fifth against Arizona. This Tar Heel team has been playing great. And when their offense is cooking with Crisco, look out, folks. Shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy, myself, Amber Hawley, Carol Bucks, Ali, Matthew, Alan. The list is endless, guys. Just join. Take a look at wagerwire.com/graphs calculator. If you want to turn this into investment, not entertainment, this is the place to be. AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Introduce yourself to Terry Smith over on Facebook. And then come on back to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, seafood, chops, wines, appetizers. Terry's got it all. He's also got 4 subscription plans. Do what I do. Just set it and forget it. Every 30 days, Terry will send you a box of protein for the month. The only thing you'll need is a spare propane tank. So without further ado, Mr. Scottie Webb. What's up, Scott?
Hey, man. It's starting to be sunny again here in Florida. We had all that rain there for beginning of the week, which is great because, man, it was dry as heck. So no water in the yard for me this week. That was great.
We've had, put it this way, tomorrow will be the 13th straight weekend it has rained in Massachusetts. So
sounds like you live over in Britain or something.
Seattle. So the funny part is I will be in Worcester with it. With Food Truck Festivals of America, Mr. Anthony Pepe, my host, my mentor for the diehards. We will be in Worcester, so our 13th annual event in Worcester, downtown. If you're in the area, make sure you swing by. Headlines for today: the Yanks are coming. The Yanks are coming. But first, the bust of the year so far, and I'm not talking about the Rockies. Congrats, they swept the Marlins. They won 3 in a row. White Sox are better than last year, at least. Is it time, Scott? Is it time to put a fork in the Braves? I know the Diamondbacks are never dead. I know that for a fact. You know that for a fact. But anyone in Atlanta last night getting ready to leave early, we'll just get the first out in the 9th inning. The Diamondbacks score 7, come all the way back to beat the Braves 11-10 in a division with the Mets, the Phillies. In pocket, I got Braves over. In pocket, I got Braves winning the East. I'm about to just turn it into confetti right now, Scotty.
Well, we're 6 days into June. They are 11 games behind the Mets. To get into the wild card, they're 7 games back. So I don't want to sit here and say they can't make up 7 games. They've got good players. They've got good pitchers. But I will say my opinion is that I don't think they're going to do it. The reason I say that is because they don't have the right dynamics on the team. So Ronald Acuna comes back, and Ronald Acuna is not playing poorly. I mean, he's hitting. He's over 300. His OPS is over 1,000. He's doing all this stuff. But where's the juice from everybody else? They got, in my opinion, I guess, they got more of a lift when Verdugo came into that team than they do when they get the superstar back, and that says a lot, man. So I think they have guys like Riley and Olsen, and those guys are just nonchalant, come to work, professional baseball players, and they don't buy into nothing. They're not emotional. They're not all in. They're not that driving force that everybody can feed off of. You need guys that you can feed off of, and Ozuna is could be that guy. I just don't think anybody likes him. I mean, he's a fun guy. Watch him bounce around and do all this crazy stuff, but because he's that way, I think people think he's kind of a joke. But I think that team needs an overhaul, and they got talent, but they don't have the right mix. And because they don't have the right mix, they're not going anywhere. And I don't know what to say. What are they going to do? Are they going to trade guys because they don't make it to the playoffs? They're going to trade Olsen or something? I mean, they got these big contracts for these guys and stuff. So I don't know what they're going to do, because the other part of the problem is when they all don't hit, they're terrible. And we saw a couple of years ago when they're all hitting for like the whole year, they're the best offense in baseball. So where did that go? Well, they're all not performing to that level, and maybe they, where did Ozzie Albies go? I mean, remember Ozzie Albies is like, okay, he's going to hit 30 home runs every year. Oh, he doesn't. Shit, where would he bat on good teams? Well, what position in the lineup? 7th, 8th?
7, 8, 9, yeah.
You know what I mean? The talent level at that for those teams, they're great. Trust me, those players are really good, but they got to be motivated. And Snickers in his last season, he's not going to manage next year. He's already said that. So, who really is going to drive the force with this team to get these guys going? Where's all this super young talent that everybody else is bringing up? I don't think the Braves necessarily have any. So I'm not concerned about the Braves, because I think that they'll figure things out and shuffle things around and eventually get it right. But that might not. It's probably not this year. They've got a long way to go, because if I pull up the standings in the wild card, what is there? They're 7 games back, but they're behind the Nationals, the Reds, the Diamondbacks, the Brewers, and the Cardinals. They got to pass all those teams just to make it in. And, that's a long way to go. The only teams they're ahead of, Jeff, are the Marlins, Pirates, and Rockies. And those Marlins, Pirates, and Rockies aren't going to get anywhere. So the Braves are surely not going to get caught by them, but they got to go catch teams. And that means they got to quit losing, and they got to put streaks together they got to go win. They got to go win series after series after series. Like I watched the Yankees last night, and they go, okay, well, they just won. So they've won 8 of the last 9 series. The one they lost was to the Dodgers there. So 8 of 9 series, you're going to start moving the needle. Well, that's what the Braves have to do. And do you think they're going to do that? I mean, they got Garrett Holmes or whatever his name is pitching for them, and they bring in Iglesias in the bullpen, and then all of a sudden 17 runs come in. So um, I have a bad feeling that the Braves are going to have to blow it up and figure out how to do like I don't even know if it's like what the Padres are doing. The Padres got a new mix of people and some different stuff, and they got Jackson Merrill going crazy, and they got Sheets over there doing great and stuff. So when you start to think about what the Padres kind of look like, the Padres just don't have pitchers right now. I don't know what's going on with Yu Darvish. He's been in the minor leagues now for I don't know how many, like a month. So I mean, he should be ready to go. So I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe he don't want to pitch no more. But it's just one of those things. They got to keep throwing Randy Vasquez out there and stupid stuff like that, and then try to catch the Dodgers and stuff. It's like what's going on with some of these teams? But they're competitive, and they're a playoff type team. But that's who the Braves have to be able to beat. The Braves have to be able to go out there, and they're going to be playing the Giants this weekend. So see what that looks like, and with Schwellen back on the mound tonight, if they can't go beat Birdsong, we got a problem here in Atlanta. It's like their best pitcher is still Chris Sale, and then follow that up with Schwellen back, and Strider fell off the horse. It's going to take him a little while to get going, and maybe he will at the end of the season, but he needs to get going because they can't keep throwing these guys out there. And that other kid, this hyphenated kid, Sawyer Brown or whatever his name is,
He's going.
He's done. So broke his elbow, or burned out his elbow and stuff, and he was doing pretty good. So these guys and these teams are struggling, and the Braves bullpen hasn't been good. It's been good at times, but it's not been really good, and their offense certainly struggles. So my opinion is going to be is no. I think you can put a fork in the Braves.
And the funny thing is 14, 15, 16, whatever the number is for the Dodgers and their starting pitchers and their other pitchers on the IL, moving, I think it was Glass now to the 60. And listen, Scottie, I don't know anything, but I'm just going to tell you this. The Dodgers are so good that they're just taking a look at the landscape and they're saying, okay, the Cubs will be there, the Mets will be there, the Phillies will be there. I don't know about the Cardinals. Now looking at our division, the Padres, the Giants, and don't forget Arizona loses Corbin Burns here. My point is, we don't need them in June. We don't need them in July.
That's exactly right.
And in August, we'll start to piece this together, and then these guys will come up in August and September. They'll have an 8-9 game lead in the West. And the point is, come October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, you're going to look at that starting staff. You're going to look at their bridges. You're going to look at their bullpen. And then you're going to look at their lineup and say, holy shit, that was a smart move, Dodgers.
Yeah, well, like we talked about before. Like I think we talked about when the Dodgers played the Yankees. This isn't the same Dodgers team you're going to see later. It's not the same lineup. It's not the same rotation. It's not nothing much is the same other than the manager and the key, some of the key components. And, Mookie Betts got hurt there for a little while. He didn't play for a couple games, and I still beat the Yankees and stuff. So it's an interesting mix of how they're going to do things and what goes on out there. I just pulled it up. The Dodgers have already used this season 29 pitchers. Mm-hmm. Total of 29 pitchers. In terms of starting pitchers, they've used 13. They've used 13 starting pitchers, and Yamamoto has started 12 times, Dustin May 11 times, and nobody else more than 8 because either injury or this or that or whatever. Roki Sasaki is the guy who started 8 times, and Gonsolin, who just came off, and Landon Knack, who's in there, they've started 7 times. You think those guys are going to pitch playoff games? No. That's not the way this is going to work. You know what I mean? Like, You think they're going to put Kershaw out there to pitch a playoff game? I don't think so. So as all this kind of works out and how this comes in, that's when you're going to go see the Glass Nows and your Yamamotos and Blake Snells, and they're going to be ready to go by then, and not only be ready to go, they'll be raring to go because they'll be fresh armed and all ready, and all that stuff. And I'm sure that they'll coast or do something to keep their bullpen going and all that kind of stuff and work through whatever. And then all of a sudden, Max Muncy's starting to hit now, so, and then all of a sudden Conforto will start hitting. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, they didn't got anybody to get out. Who are you going to get out? I mean, Pages is already playing well. So, what are you going to do? Try to get Tommy Edman out every time? And they call him Tommy Tanks.
American League again, title headline today, Yanks are coming, Yanks are coming. It's kind of funny because you can really put a fork in this Red Sox here as they travel to the Bronx for 3 games. Red Sox lose the first 2 to the Angels, rumblings, more rumblings. Then the Padres are interested in Duran. Now we're going to start to sell off some pieces. Obviously, Chapman will be high up on there for someone looking for a bullpen arm. And they miraculously come back and win 11-9. Now, this Red Sox team leads the majors in errors. They lead the majors with 7. They're 1-17 in one-run games. Some stupid number like that. But my point is, now they're coming into the Bronx here, where we talked about this last week. Yankees, Dodgers, the Dodgers were minus 155 with Yamamoto on Sunday. We leaned Fried lost on Friday, but my point was the Dodgers win the 2 as dogs and then lose as a big favorite on Sunday night. I just looked it up. Yankees are minus 200 tonight, and the Yankees are minus 200 in the series. Anyone that likes the Yankees tonight, do yourself a favor. Don't put it all on one game. Just take if you're going to go to the window and lay the minus 200 with pride, just take the Yankees in the series to win 2 out of 3 here, guys, because the pitcher matchups don't sit well. And I know Fitz was lined up for Sunday, and he's back in Worcester, Scottie.
Well, I'm looking at the matchups. You've got, where's that Boston game? Crochet against Yarbrough. How about that matchup? Well, remember, Yarbrough beat Yamamoto.
So you could actually have. I don't think the Sox will be favored. They might be, plus 110 or 15 with Crochet. But my point is,
then they're showing Dobbins and Rodon on Sunday night.
Yeah, Dobbins has been good. He's been okay. He's serviceable. And we talked backstage about Walker Buehler, not back to that playoff World Series form where we hoped that he does get there. But overall, again, this was a Red Sox team that there's a Cora and Breslow issue. Cora has wiped his hands with Devers. Hey, if you want to talk to him, Breslow or John Henry, you can talk to him. I'm done. Took some fielding, I think, at third base the other day. Bregman's out for 2 months. I will just say that Cora's on the warm seat if they really want to pull the plug on this. I don't think he wants to be here, or I think you'd see the real Cora if Breslow wasn't there, and they're not going to fire Breslow. Now they come to the Bronx for 3 games. Can we sing some taps if they go 0-3?
Maybe. I mean, they're starting to fall behind, and they're getting to a point where, like the Braves. So the Braves are probably the most disappointing team in the National League, and in the American League, Boston's probably right there. But I can't not put Texas in that same spot because Texas is a team that they just. Man, they're just terrible to watch. Watch them play is just awful. And they can't hit, and but whatever. And they do the same stuff. They do the same stuff Boston does. They lost to the Rays yesterday on a ground ball to second base. They scored 2 runs on a ground ball that the second baseman fielded. I mean, watch the highlight. It's unbelievable. And I sit there and I go, oh my God. So yes, I do think that you run into trouble here because the American League's a little different than the National League, only in the sense that there's lesser teams that are of quality of the same level of what you find in the National League. So if you were to go on a 15-5 run or a 17-3 run, 14-6, something like that, that can do a lot to get you in the playoffs as a wild card team. And you can't say that Boston can't do that because they really can. Now, I agree with you that I'm so disappointed in how they play defense, so disappointed in how they run the bases. And you got guys that just, well, flat out tell you, I'm not playing that position, or whatever. Well, what is going on in Boston, right? So I think you're right in a sense that you got a GM problem with the manager on the field, and but I've often thought that based on what I look at, and I look at projected numbers and WAR numbers and things like that, in my mind, most people in Boston overrate their team and overrate the value of their players, and I don't mean that in any disrespect. But I think they think that Jared Duran's like the second coming of Ricky Henderson or something. He's not that good, and like, oh, we're going to trade him and we're going to get all these pieces for him. What do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, you're go ahead and trade him, but you're not going to get a whole bunch of value for Jared Duran. I mean, I get it. He's a young player, and all that stuff, but he's not a superstar. He's not what I think Boston people think they are, and that's part of some of these issues. Like was it Hitchcock or whatever his name is, Whitlock? People thought, well, okay, he's going to be the greatest thing. Well, where's he at now? He's a relief pitcher, for God's sakes. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mean that in any disrespect to the people or whatever. But I do think that's part of the problem in Boston is they overvalue what they have. And like I think about this for a minute. We were talking about Red Sox Yankees, right? I'm sitting there, I'm going, the Yankees are playing these two guys at second base and at third base. I can't even pronounce their names. David, whatever his name is, that plays, and they didn't play him yesterday. These guys are batting under 200. And I go, this is the New York Yankees. Where's the third baseman that'll play for the New York Yankees? And where's the second baseman that'll play for the New York Yankees? And I mean, I know they put Chisholm over there yesterday and stuff, so they can move and mix around and do some things. That still doesn't change the fact that you got these guys that are batting 200 that are playing for the Yankees. So my thought, and we've been talking about this for all the time in the world, the Red Sox need to call up their kids, get everybody up, get everybody playing, get everybody some experience, find out what you have, and then start building a team around the players you want to keep and get rid of the scum. You know what I mean? I know Devers is a great player, and I know all the stuff about him hitting and all that crap, right? But if he's a detriment to the team in terms of building and processing, like we just talked about with the Braves, if he's not that guy that helps drive them to excel and provide great energy on the field, get rid of him and get people back and keep building and building and building. You got, whatever. I mean, they're doing stuff that I don't know. What's Giolito going to give you? I know you liked having Bueller and stuff come over, but these guys that have been hurt, it's a very big risk in taking those guys. And they paid Crochet, and that's a risk too. Only in a sense that, I mean, it's not that he's not a great pitcher, but it's a risk in a sense that he's a relief pitcher that keeps stretching out year after year, and he's gonna run into innings issues again. And I don't know how. Well, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Matter. It won't matter this year. Trust me on the on the innings, because by September 1st the plug will be pulled. And you're right. Boston fans have always overrated their players. We're going to get a boatload. I heard Duran for Dylan Cease, and here's why I heard Dylan Cease is they tried to move Cease in the offseason last year of a contract, so you can get an expiring contract, which does nothing to us right now because we're not quote unquote in it. So my point is, Kristen Campbell, Anthony Meyer. Listen, bring them up. Let's see what we got. I would release. I am honest. I will eat the money and release Trevor Story unless someone wants a veteran leader or whatever, someone to keep the scorecard on the bench because that's as good as he's useful right now. But we could talk for hours. I'm going to bring you to the forefront. I'm going to let you do your thing, break down today's slate, how you do it, and I'll be back in 15, 20, whatever. I'll be listening.
All right, no worries. Let me get my numbers up here, and then we'll be ready to roll. All right, so today's obviously Friday. We got new matchups. I love new matchups. I always tend to think that on Fridays it's a great day to bet baseball because Saturday, Sunday, the sports books get a better feel for how these teams match up with each other. I think there's some interesting things out there today, and it's just let me just say it this way. Sometimes when you bet baseball, you got to be pretty brave. And sometimes you just sit there and go, okay, well, that was an opportunity and I missed it. Or, that was an opportunity, I took it and I bet it on value and it didn't work out. So, and then, you just, things happen in baseball. They happen every day. So you just do the best you can with what you can and make the smartest moves that you can make and go from there. But I will preface everything I'm going to say today with a couple of caveat notes here. I'm pulling up, I don't know if you've ever go to teamrankings.com, but if you go to teamrankings.com, they got a lot of pretty cool stuff there. Now, this is baseball, but they do college football, NFL, basketball, all of it. And this is, I'm looking at 2025 won-loss record against the spread as a favorite. All baseball teams as a favorite, just as a favorite as a whole. And when I slide this down, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 teams that are not winning as favorites. So think about that. There's 30 teams in Major League Baseball. 7 of them are not winning. Boston is one of them. Cincinnati, Baltimore, the Angels, Miami, Pittsburgh, and Washington. Bad teams mostly. So when you think about that, these teams are favored and they've lost. Well, 23 other teams are, when they're favored, they win more often than they lose. I mean, this is a a winning percentage, right? So then if you change that and you go, oh well, let's see, what about home favorites? So you do home favorites and you click that down. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got 9 teams that don't win as home favorites. So 21 out of 30 teams win as home favorites. Look, it's a favorite year, and it's a home favorite year. And if I told you, if you switch this to away favorites, you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You have like 12 teams that are winning as away favorites. So favorites at home, just do what you can to figure out how to bet favorites at home. Do that, and you're probably better off. Away favorites, you got the Cubs, the Phillies, the Tigers, the Yankees. And who are those teams? Well, they're division leading teams. They're the best teams in baseball. So they're supposed to win, and they are. So that's the teams you bet on as away teams. As you bet on those big, strong home or good teams. The Cubs, the Dodgers, the Yankees. Those teams. Anyway, that was food for thought in regards to kind of what you should be looking at, and baseball is also a sport that's broken into segments. So teams have streaks. Teams play well at certain times and play bad at other times. Like right now, if I look at the standings for 1 second here, the Philadelphia Phillies, for example, the Phillies right now are 1.5 games out of first place in their division, but they're 3-7 in their last 10 games. That's not very good, and I get it. They go play the Pirates today. Well, the Pirates aren't very good, but the Pirates at the same time that they're not very good, they're pretty competitive compared to what they had been. And today's matchup in that game, I bring it up because everybody wants to go bet the Phillies. Well, you know who's pitching for the Phillies? It's Joe Ross. You know when the last time Joe Ross pitched? Joe Ross was a starting pitcher for the Nationals years ago before he got hurt, and he's been hurt for several years. And then he can't come back as a relief pitcher. He's pitched in a couple spots where he's gotten, to go two, maybe 1, 2, 3 innings, got more than 3 outs anyway. So that's what he's doing today. He's opening this game for the Phillies. Now I get it. The Pirates can't hit and all that stuff, but if you look at the metrics on this game, the Joe Ross is a Sierra number 431. He gives up 2.5 home runs per 9 innings, and his hard hit rate's over 40%. Like, he's very hittable. He's not a big strikeout guy. His strikeouts are 6.75 strikeouts per 9 innings. They're going to face Bailey Falter today. And I bring up Bailey Falter because sometimes I just run numbers through you guys and you go, what the hell is he talking about? Well, I specifically want to tell you about Bailey Falter because if I look at his spots here, I look at SOPS plus. So it's a predictive measure of how the pitcher has been doing over his last 28 days in controlling the opponent's offense. So it looks at, their on base plus slugging, right? And then it takes that number and puts it on a scale of 100. So 100 is average. So for a pitcher, you want it to be under 100. And if you're a hitter, you want it to be over 100. So in this case, for example, Joe Ross is a 156. That means he's 56% worse than an average pitcher at controlling the opponent's offense. So theoretically, that's a boost for Pittsburgh. I don't know how much you can get. Pittsburgh needs a lot of boost. But anyway, point being is I wanted to share with you that don't underestimate people like Bailey Falter. Over his last 5 starts, last 28 days, his SOPS plus number is 26. That means he's 74% better than an average pitcher. 74. Do you know what that? So when I say that, here's his stat line for what that looks like. It's 5 games, 28 2/3 innings, 15 hits, 2 earned runs, 2, and a .63 earned run average. That's what that looks like. And you're going to have this team from Philadelphia come in here that's 3-7 in the last 10 games, pitching with a relief pitcher to start the game who's very hittable, and going to face this guy, Bailey Falter. And Bailey Falter is shutting down everybody. And then on besides that, there's also, where is it? That they've played left-handed pitchers 18 times. They're 8-10 against left-handed pitchers. So it's one of these spots where if you feel like taking a shot, the reason I tell you this is because my number and the number are not right. I have this game as a pick'em. I have -101 Pittsburgh. -101 Pittsburgh. The number is -127 the last time I saw it for Philadelphia. So when you bet baseball, you bet value. And in this case, you're betting home team value. I kind of like home team value. It's just a thought. If you want to do something that makes a little bit of sense. Now, I do this thing and I put it out on a bet score, and it's kind of hard to put it out there when Joe Ross doesn't get a lot of points because he's not a starting pitcher. But the bet score comes out 35 points for Pittsburgh, 0 for Philadelphia. Well, how can 0 be for Philadelphia? Well, because their offense right now is 32% worse than an average offense. They don't score enough runs to get any points. You need 4.5 for that. Their WPA, so win percent added. These are important things for offenses. If you're not looking at certain stuff, I want you to start realizing what's important. When you get guys on base and it's in that clutch moment and you need to score the runs, well, WPA tells you that, winning percent added. It's like, okay, you just drove in those runs. That winning percent goes up. Or you didn't, and your winning percent goes down. Well, there are only certain teams that have positive numbers there. Well, currently, Philadelphia does not. Another key component that you should be looking at is balls in play. So that means strikeouts. So strikeouts need to be less than 22. And yes, strikeouts are less than 22 for the Phillies. It's 19.9. So, okay, good. Balls in play. But you need to combine that with walk rate. Walk rate needs to be over 8. So if you're getting balls in play and putting guys on base, that's going to get you runs. Well, they don't have that. So they don't get any points for that either. And they don't get any points for home runs. I'm going to tell you, and I told Jeff, and I can tell my wife and anybody else, if you can predict who's going to hit more home runs than the other team, bet that team. They're going to win. The team that hits more home runs are going to win. So in this case, both Pittsburgh and Philadelphia get no points. But certainly Pittsburgh's going to get some points for their pitcher today. And then we string it out. You know what? Pittsburgh's bullpen actually gets points. And Philadelphia's doesn't. Of course, they were just in Toronto and they got beat up in Toronto. So as it kind of swings all out, Philadelphia gets no points. Nothing for their offense, nothing for their pitcher, nothing for their bullpen, and they're favored on the road. And I get it. Pittsburgh sucks. But that's the kind of dynamic of things that I think you're looking for. And it kind of gives you something to start stretching your head around the idea of home teams, right? So Texas, Washington, I'm going to skip it a little bit just because there's not a whole lot here. My number in the game, I have Texas minus 122. I think the number is more like 110, 115, something like that for Texas. So not a lot of value. But then again, so I threw this game out immediately for this reason. This is an away favorite, and the away favorite team for where is it? Texas. Texas on the road. They played 30 games on the road, won 9 times. 9. They are 9-21 on the road. Okay, why do I want to? I don't care. Out, right? I'm showing a little bit of value on Texas, but if you're going to win 9 out of 30 games, out the door. I'm not betting it. So next game. This is that Yankee game. So bet score number, everything all comes out Yankees in this game. Buehler is off a bad start, but not a terrible. Well, I shouldn't say that. He's off a game score 28, which is not very good. But at the same time, his game score for the whole season is a 48. So he's really struggled to come off of that. Now, even though he's a 48, I think he's pitched 9 times. And in those 9 times, the Red Sox are 6-3. So he's keeping them in the game. So he's pretty competitive about that. So he's kind of that veteran bulldog kind of pitcher. And then Warren is pitching for the Yankees. He's got great stuff. Way good stuff. Like he throws real hard, got good movement, good stuff. And he's off of his worst start. He's off a bad start. He has a game score 2. When pitchers get single digits like that, or maybe 10s, 15s, they dominate the next start out usually. So I would tell you that he's going to pitch really good. I'm going to tell you that I think that the pitcher Buehler for Boston's very hittable. I think balls in play against the Yankees are a bad component if you don't have a pitcher that can keep balls from not being in play. So especially when the Yankees play at home. So I think you're going to have a pretty big edge here to the Yankees. Now, all that being said, the number's way too high. I think my number on the game, and this was minus 179. And Jeff just said it was like minus 200. So I saw it before. It was like 185, 186. So I still think it's too high. And this is Boston. And, these guys used to play, 4.5-hour games and score 12 runs every time they played each other. So we'll see what happens. But it's no value for me in that one. Cincinnati, Arizona is kind of interesting only in the sense that Arizona's off of a crazy miracle win yesterday, scored 7 runs in the 9th inning to beat the Braves. And they have a terrible pitcher on the mound, Eduardo Rodriguez. That's something maybe that the Red Sox did right. They got rid of him. So they're in a spot where Eduardo Rodriguez, his Sierra number for the day, 5.79. You know what his game score for the season is? 38. It's terrible. Like, he can't get anybody out. The batting average against him is 400. He allows 3 guys on base every inning. That's his whip rate, 3. So and you got Lodolo pitching for the Reds, and he has a Sierra number of 3.43, which is in the green, which means he's in the top 15% of all of baseball, top 20% of all of baseball. So you got extremes here. You got a great pitcher against a terrible pitcher. Great, let's go bet Cincinnati. Hold on. So the reason I say hold on is because you run into Cincinnati gets all the bet points on the pitcher, and Arizona gets all of them on the offense. So when you match them up, it comes out 35-35. And then the bullpen, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. The bullpen points actually go to Arizona, and they've been bad. So they're cycling through, starting to pitch better out of their bullpen. And then they do better on the road than what Cincinnati does at home. Cincinnati is one of those teams that haven't really got a home field lift. They're minus 13% to an average team at home. That's not good. And and you've seen it. Arizona's 13% on the road, better than an average team. So I decided that I didn't think this was a good spot to bet Lodolo, and I don't certainly agree that it's a good spot to bet Arizona. So I just stayed off the game. As we go to the next one, Houston, Cleveland, this is another spot where keep an eye on certain things. When Cleveland faces a left-handed pitcher, kind of like they did yesterday with Fried, they're terrible. Cleveland is minus 43% on their offense against left-handed pitchers. And when it comes to one loss record against left-handed pitchers, they've faced them 13 times. They are 3-10. Well, guess what? They faced a left-handed pitcher today. But that being said, you'd have to be betting a road favorite here in the Astros. Now, the Astros have been a little bit hot. They played a little bit better. They're leading their division now ahead of Seattle. And I do like the kid Gordon. I think he's 3-1 in his 4 starts. He hasn't been great, but I think his stuff's pretty good, and it's way better than Logan Allen's. So if you wanted to take a chance, I don't mind. I wrote it down that's a possibility. I think that's a good spot to take a road favorite. I always bet favorites. Man, it's just, I shouldn't say always, but it's so hard to look at these games and bet dogs anymore. They don't win. So bet winners, and there's Houston. I think they're a possibility, something to look at. And then Lugo next game. This is Chicago and Detroit. This is going to be a fun series for the whole series. This game's not going to be as much fun. When you have Skubal on the mound, Skubal's the best pitcher in baseball, guys. And let me explain it to you in a certain way. We talked about Bailey Falter, right? And his SOPS plus was 26 over the last 5 games. Tariq Skubal, 8, single digit. He's 92% better than an average pitcher. Oh my God. He is 23 at home. That means he is 77% better than an average pitcher. No, 87. 87. Oh my God. No, 77. That's right. 77. Look, you're not going to beat Tariq Skubal. Just especially you might, but I mean, you're don't count on it. So this is one of those spots where and who's the best Cubs pitcher right now? Who's the best pitcher the Cubs have? Think about it. Is it Boyd? Imanaga, but Imanaga's hurt. Tyon. It's Ben Brown. Ben Brown's the best pitcher they have. So this is like their ace against Detroit's ace. And this is going to be like minus 200 for Detroit, for God's sakes. And Chicago can hit. So what's that going to tell you what the series is going to look like? So I think this is one of those spots. This game's too big in terms of the price to get involved in it. But Chicago is going to meet their maker with Detroit, and we'll see how it kind of goes. Lugo and Martin today. This is Kansas City and the White Sox. Martin is the second best pitcher statistically that the White Sox have. And Lugo is turned into just better than Lorenzen. Look, Lugo got hurt. Lugo's been struggling. He's older. He's an average pitcher now, or below average. And he's going to be a big favorite. So with the White Sox being competitive, and I'll say this, the White Sox at home, you want them to win. You want them to be over 500 at home. But the White Sox have only won. How many games have the White Sox won? They haven't won very many. So where's the standings? Here they are. The White Sox have won 20 games. They only won 20 times. They've won 14 at home. So that's where they're going to be good, is that they're going to win these games at home. And right now they are 14 wins at home and 17 losses at home, 14 and 17. They don't win on the road at all. So again, these are one of those spots where the White Sox are going to be competitive. The Royals just played a doubleheader yesterday and had to travel to Chicago today. So it's a bad spot for the White Sox, or for the Royals. Not necessarily a good spot for the White Sox. I don't know that there ever is one, but this is not a spot to be betting Lugo on the road. The next one I do like, this is San Diego and Milwaukee. This Vasquez guy, he's a below average pitcher. He has good stuff every once in a while, but he walks a lot of guys, puts a lot of guys on base. And there's something wrong with San Diego. They can't hit either right now. And they're going to face Patrick in Milwaukee. Now, this kid's been pretty good, and his numbers, when you start to look at it, Patrick, we talked about that SOPS thing, right? It's an 85 for him. So he's 15% better than an average pitcher, but Vasquez is a 124. So that means he's 24% worse than that pitcher. And the Milwaukee Brewers, they are 9-1 in their last 10 games, 14-6 in the last 20, and they are 18-10 at home. That tells you, they're in pretty good order right now. Right now is the time to be betting on that team. And when I pulled up my bet score numbers on there, Patrick hits every one of the pitching boxes. He gets 30 points in the pitching boxes. That's 35 points. But you know what? They get all but one in the offense. So it's like 65-0 Milwaukee. And that's because they're 34% better than an average offense. They're scoring 7 runs a game right now. They're averaging 1.7 home runs a game. And San Diego, they're 37% worse than an average offense, scoring less than 3 runs a game. And you got a better pitcher. I like Milwaukee. I know the number's like 130 or whatever, but I think it's, think about it. If my bet scorecard here is based out of 100, right? And they've hit almost every box. They total was 77 points. So that's like 77 winning percent against 20. 77-20. That comes out to like a 93% chance they win this game, just on the bet scorecard. And then you look at it, and it's minus 136. Well, I'm getting a value. I'm going to play that, right? So that's kind of how you look at some of this stuff. So I liked that one. Probably one of the better ones I liked of the day. And as I kind of skip through here, Toronto, Minnesota, it's kind of interesting because they're going to run an opener and they ran this format the last time. That Paxton kid was pretty good, throws hard, gets a lot of strikeouts. He's going to pitch an inning, maybe two, and then Lauer's going to pitch, slow old guy, left-hander, and see what they can do against Minnesota. I don't really like that situation very well because my opinion right now, Ober's kind of overrated, only in a sense that he's a good pitcher, but at the same time he's a good pitcher. I think he's starting to get hit a little bit. His metrics are not as good as they have been. He's a 4.84, for example, in his Sierra number. That's not good. I don't want to bet on a guy that's going to give up 5 runs possibly. So I'm going to stay off of that. These are two great offenses right now. Toronto's is number 1 in Major League Baseball, and Minnesota's is number 5. So I don't like to bet the overs in these kind of spots just because, especially with an opener pitcher. So anyway. Dodgers, St. Louis, interesting spot again. St. Louis is a favorite in this game against the Dodgers. That's because Robleski's on the mound and St. Louis pitching the best pitcher they got. Now, Sonny Gray's been not only the best pitcher they got, he's been pretty good. He's got a 2.46 Sierra number today. Clicks every box on the scorecard for the pitchers. Robleski hasn't started a game except for back in April, like April 8th or something, like one of the first games that he had to pitch. And he threw a game score 15. And he's only pitched 4 innings in relief this last 30 days. So I don't know what you're going to get from Robleski. But he is lefty. And we've always talked about this when we're looking at the Cardinals. But I will say the Cardinals have started to turn things around. They're 11-10 now against left-handed pitching, and they were below, and they have been below bad. They're good at home. They played 30 games at home. They won 20. They get a big boost at home. That boost is 21%. They are 21% better at home than most teams. The only team that has a higher one than them right now today is the Yankees. Yankees are 22% better at home. So they get a big boost on their offense at home, and they're placing Robleski. So this is a pretty good spot maybe, especially with the way the Dodgers won yesterday and stuff. But I don't trust the Cardinals. I don't. Small home favorite, though. You got to like the home favorites. And then Mets. I'm not going to get in that game. It's minus 300, for God's sakes, on the road for the Mets. Here's a game that I think is kind of an interesting one, too. And I might jump into this one. This is Miller and Hendricks. Now, Miller was good at one time. I don't think he's good at all right now. Miller got hurt. He came back. So he threw a game score 32, a game score 25, and then he skipped 2 starts on the disabled list. And then his last time out, he threw a game score 38. He's been just god awful. In his last total 7 starts, which includes the 2 he didn't, he had a 41. He's got a 61 in there. So his game score over that time is 39.4. That's not going to win games, guys. 39.4, and he's a 5.30 Sierra number, and he's going to face the Angels today. Which, okay, whatever. The Angels are the Angels. They're a below average team, but they can hit, and they don't have real good pitchers. But Hendricks has been decent. Hendricks has been he's a 4.25 Sierra number, so that's better. And what's good is he don't walk people. So to beat him, you got to get on base by getting base hits. And offensively, Seattle is bad. Seattle right now offensively, they are minus 20% to an average offense. They rank 22nd in all of baseball. That's really weird that they're 20% worse than an average offense and only 22nd. But that means we got some bad offenses out there this week. And the Angels are 10% better than an average offense. So the one caveat to note in this spot is the Angels are better, or the the Mariners are a better road team than they are a home team. But I don't like the pitchers. If Cal Raleigh say they decide that Cal Raleigh is going to sit tonight, I don't know. I'm just making this up. But if they say he's going to sit, put all the money in the world you got on the Angels because he is their offense. Without Cal Raleigh, that team is bad, bad, bad. So I do like the Angels in this spot. I think it's a home dog for them. I think it's probably a pretty good idea here. My number on that game for that spot was I got it at plus. I got Seattle as actually a bigger favorite than what it's showing, but I still like how the handicap came out. And then last couple games is Baltimore and the Athletics, and again, that says it's been saying most of the day. I don't know if it says any more right now yet. It still says undecided for. It still says undecided for who's going to pitch for the Athletics. Well, the pitcher for the Athletics is going to be Sears. The reason that they put that stuff on there is, and the same thing that they did it for Toronto and some of these, they're going to have an opener. Whoever the opener is going to be, he's going to open. He's going to pitch an inning or two, and then Sears is going to pitch the bulk of that game. But betting on a team that's what are they? They are 1-9, I think, in their last 10 games. And where is it? Situation. They are 1-9 in the last 10 games, 2-18 in the last 20, and they are 10-22 at home. And we talk about bet on home teams. Don't bet on that team at home. They're ridiculous. So don't bet that team. And Baltimore, they're starting to turn things around. They're 8-2 in the last 10. Of course, they haven't played very many good teams. They played the Angels. And then you got this Schwellenbach and San Francisco game where you got two teams right now that can't hit against two teams that have pretty good pitchers today. The total in that game was 7.5. I kind of like the game to go under the number just because they're both bullpens are decent. So I think as the game goes on, you bring in these guys, they still hold the runs down. So ultimately though, I think your best bets are probably that Milwaukee game. I don't mind the Angels at all, and Houston, even though you're picking a road game. Anyway, that's what I got for you, Jeff.
Great breakdown as always. You will be back 10:30 a.m. on Monday. I'm going to bring in Terry Smith, CEO, founder of Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. He'll be in around 10:15, talking about the demise of his Braves. Hopefully they have a big weekend for him. Talk some Atlanta sports. As we always wrap up this segment, any closing thoughts for everyone watching and listening?
Well, I think I kicked off some of that when I was doing the other stuff about home teams and other things for betting wise. But, baseball is such a different sport to bet. You lose games. Like if you bet on the Texas Rangers yesterday to win that game and they hit a ground ball to the second baseman, they fielded he fielded the ball and Tampa Bay scored 2 runs on a fielded ground ball to second base and you lost. Well, that's just the way it goes. There's nothing you can do about that. These guys rob home runs that could have helped you, or all kinds of crazy stuff happen in baseball. Just remember that you try to do the best you can and have more fun with the sport, because if you're not having fun with it and you're not kind of playing with it a little bit loosely, and you're trying to be super tight with a lot of stuff, then you're probably too tight and missing opportunities. But you can't be out there betting 13 games every night because you're way too loose that way too. So find your happy zone, find your happy spot. But by God, be happy betting, because if you're not happy betting baseball, it's going to be a long summer before football comes around.
1,000%. We can't talk about it enough. We've been preaching this now for 10 years. It's a marathon, not a sprint. There's highs and lows. Our job is to keep you off that roller coaster. The key to success is bankroll management. I'm going to close with this. I love telling this story. New client or potential new client some time ago. I said to him, "What's your bankroll?" He goes, $1,000. I said, "Okay, well, you do know you should be betting between 20, 25, and $30 a game because the usual is 2 to 3%. Not that you can't do a 5% here and there, but the thought process is you should be betting $25 to $30 per play." "Well, what do you mean?" As he sticks out his chest like, "I'm $150 player. What's 25 or $30 gonna do?" And I said, "That's exactly my point." We had the St. Louis Cardinals first five Wednesday night, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe it was Tuesday night. Up 7-2, top of the fifth, and the Royals just happened to score six. So we're not looking for broken remotes. We're not looking for someone to go on a tizzy. When this shit happens, 5, 6 run innings, missed field goals, pick six, miss extra points, whatever sport you're playing, 3 empty net goals and you had the under. That's the whole point. We survive and advance to the next day. There's 365 days in a year. So if you have $1,000 bankroll, you should be betting $25 to $30 per. Now, when you build up that bankroll to $2,000, just do the 2 to 3%. Now you're up to $40, $45, $50 a year. But people don't understand that mentality. Just because you got a knot in your pocket doesn't make you someone that you are not, because 99% of the world bet $25, $50 per play. That the average bet literally is $20. Yeah, there's people betting 500, 1,000. There's guys out there betting 10 times a game, but that's the 1% of the 1%. So don't get caught up in the hysteria. Don't get caught up in the madness. Don't try to be someone you're not, because you won't make it to. I'll say it this way. The dog days of summer are coming. A lot of people will tap out because they don't like the day-to-day grind of baseball. "I can't wait till football. That's my best sport. I'm going to kill him." Well, that guy that starts Labor Day weekend usually doesn't make it to October 1st, or never mind Halloween, and forget about Thanksgiving. They're doing those $5, $10 parlay cards when you walk into the sports book. So anyways, it's been an amazing day. I can't thank everyone enough. You guys are the best. Without you, there'd be no ECSI. Scottie, Webb, as always, thank you for your time, your service. Everyone else, enjoy the weekend. Behave yourselves. Don't be the pizza man, okay? And we'll see you next week. Stay tuned.